there's probably more ways to it than just
Ready? All right. We are out of executive session. Ms. Corley, you had some comments for the board.
Yes, last week, I'm sorry, not last week, it was 2 weeks ago, the last board meeting, the town conducted a public hearing on Village Center Metro District's request for an amendment to its service plan. And now the matter is before the board. Since we've already had a public hearing, we're not going to open it up for another public hearing at this meeting. So it's now before you for deliberation and a vote.
All right. Thank you so much. Questions, comments from the board? So my understanding is that there are two particular items that are before that they're requesting. One is to give them the ability to extend their mill levies, and the second is a proposal for the town to pick up maintenance of streets and whatnot. Is that pretty much the crux of the request?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. So, all right, that was a question I had. Trustee Koopman. Yes, sir.
I think you clarified it last time. Is there a way to break these up? There's not a way to break these up into two different motions. It's presented kind of as a package.
That's correct. So you need to approve it as it is, disapprove it, or if there were some additional conditions that you wanted to impose, you could do that as well with an approval.
One more clarification. It could always be brought back in different forms. If, for example, it doesn't pass, is there a way for them to come back and say, well, let's reevaluate it this way, or maybe work on it this option?
The district board, the Village Center Metro District Board would have to reconvene and adopt a resolution with whatever new proposal they wanted to bring to you, and then they would have to file another petition requesting an amendment to the service plan. We would start this process over again.
Gotcha. Thank you very much.
Questions, additional questions, comments from the board? All right, hearing none. Do we have a motion regarding Resolution 25, 2017, consideration of an amendment to the service plan for Village Center Metropolitan District?
Motion for consideration of an amendment to the service plan for Village Center Metropolitan District.
I'm sorry, I think that's it. He said consideration. I wasn't sure I heard that correctly.
Yeah, that's what I thought I heard.
Oh, okay.
Do we have a motion for this resolution? So were you making a motion in support of this resolution? Or did I misunderstand that?
No.
Okay. Do I hear a motion from any members of the board in support of Resolution 25, 2017? Going once, twice, 3 times. This motion fails due to lack of a resolution. Public comments for items not on the agenda per Municipal Code 2.04.030 J2B. Public comment shall be limited to 3 minutes.
Mr. Forrest Henley. It only related to this agenda item. If he's saying I can't speak outside of that agenda, I mean, I speak outside, then I can't say anything, I guess.
We're on items not on the agenda.
We're on, according
and
to
I haven't been allowed to speak as part of the agenda, in spite of our request to do so.
Mr. Howe, are you next? Yes, sir.
Thank you. John Howe, 274 Mitchell Avenue, Monument. I'm old, so I request that the clock go on slow motion.
So we can go backwards.
I'm doing all that myself.
He is not old. That doesn't apply, Mr.
Oh, good evening, trustees and staff. First, I wish to compliment all the accomplishments of recent, namely the blue basketball court paint update at Dirty Women Park, the huge paving job at 2nd and Front Street, which has fixed that dip, the bane of trucks and trailers, and the infamous marble bench, humbly I add in my honor, at the cemetery to thank you all. And there are many other projects around town. And I want to thank you for the congeniality and collaborative attitudes of the Board of Trustees to the community. All that being said, I'm here on another mission, namely the Public Works buildings and the property on Jefferson. If I may approach and hand out. If you pass them out one for each, thank you. Recently, Mr. Tharnish showed you some fine pictures of the buildings of Public Works. I must fault him as they look very nice. I have presented you with my own pictures which show you a different story. As you know, I'm familiar with this building we are now in. It is a good example of how employees should be treated. This is how we should treat all of our employees. I'm sure you agree. Now I'd like you to look at those. I gave one for the clerk and one perhaps for the town manager there. I have a couple of extras here if anybody is interested. The first picture, lots of clock. Oh, it's going fast. These are the office buildings. They're really in very terrible disrepair, as well as the inside. Inside the main hall, there's one of the trucks. Outside, because there is no room inside, these are thousands of dollars worth of machinery, and there are many others that are seasonally getting weathered. Terrible waste of our tax money. The next is the picture of their meeting room and their lunchroom were for the employees. And then this next one is interesting. Under those boxes, this is the restroom that they have to use. And the last picture is the toilet that they have to use. 18 employees that work over there with no shower and this facility. And I would ask if you've even seen the place yourselves and compare it to this building and what we are able to use here. The public can come in and use it here. They certainly don't see it over there. As Mrs. Smith has reminded us, it is budget time and I have 8 seconds. I'm asking you to get busy and get that building built over on 7 acres down the street from me. And with that, I have a little gift here for Mrs. Smith. I didn't win the lottery, but I'm going to give her, she's here.
She asked permission to go home, Mr. Howe, but if she'd have known you had money.
I'll take
No, that's not good. Give it to Tom.
That's seed money.
Give it to Tom.
I'm giving you seed money, and with the budget coming up, please get that in there and do something about that horrible disaster we call Public Works over there. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Howe. Anybody else from the public?
Hi, my name is Dustin Sparks. I'm the Vice President of Village Center Metro District. Well, since obviously we didn't get a vote on the resolution, I want to talk about next steps going forward and maybe what an alternative can look like. My prepared notes were in regards to speaking before you all had a motion, so I'll try to adjust them. But I'll tell you that if I was sitting in your shoes and was asked to vote on this amendment to the service plan with a $500,000 a year price tag and the memo that you'd receive from the town manager and these cost estimates, I too would have voted no. So I agree with you there. I think that price tag is a lot higher than what the actual yearly maintenance for the roads in Village Center are. So I do want to say, though, first, that I think the town needs to look at a comprehensive review of how it approves metro districts in the town and the relationship that it has with all of its metro districts. It's my understanding that the majority of metro districts in Monument cannot afford to maintain their own roads. And so that is a problem that every metro district, I believe, maybe except for one, is facing. Second, since it's a huge price tag, and I understand why you would vote no on it, I do want to address the issue of equitably sharing the town's resources and address a point that the town manager made in his memo to you for the last meeting about the $1 million letter of credit that the town let expire. So much of the cost that the Metro District is facing has to do with the fact that the most recent developments were not completed. Some of the roads were never crowned. The developers ruined roads with equipment, made cuts on existing roads to put in new lines, and that $1 million could have been used to finish those roads and make the repairs to the existing roads that were damaged and to complete the landscaping. So no one that works for the town currently or is currently on the trustee board is personally responsible in any way for that letter of credit expiring. But when you look at how can we spend money on this metro district and take it away from the rest of the town, well, to me it's because the town does have some responsibility in those things never being completed. And that money, it just isn't going to come into existence for the Metro District to ever complete it. So if those initial things that were supposed to have been done by the developer were completed, the cost to maintain the district would be drastically less. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I did. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hatfield. I just had an observation with all the discussion that we had about the comprehensive plan. That was a labor of love for everybody. What I noticed tonight when we looked at the map about the Monument Ridge was that there was hardly any mention of the county, that big white spot taking up most of the map with those great big lots wasn't even really under. I mean, I realize they're in the county, they're not in the town. But it seems like it would be, I think the results came out great tonight, but it would be nice to be able to get that zoning information for the adjoining areas for future considerations. As far as the Planning Commission meeting goes, I listened to the recording of that, and there was, they didn't have an executive session, but they did take a break at the moment when there was, the motion failed for lack of a second for the Les Schwab Tire Center thing. So they took a break to go discuss it. So I don't, and who knows what that was about, but they were trying to figure out what was going on. We're all learning so much, aren't we? So we've got to stick together. But just sharing the information seems like the most important thing, so thanks.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Lisa.
Is there anyone else from the public? All right, hearing none, we will bring it back to the board authorization items. Ms. Smith.
Ms. Smith asked me to take this one,
So,
as she skedaddled early. Basically, we're trying to make sure we reserve some time. It's always very difficult to get everybody a perfect date, but those were the ones suggested, just so we can stay on a timeline to get the budget passed and the deadline set by statute. So we'd just like to put the budget workshops approved so we can publicized it.
This may be a personal preference. October 28th, love it. November 18th seems a little close to the Thanksgiving holiday.
We have a meeting Thanksgiving week, the Monday night of Thanksgiving week. I don't know what that date is off the top of my head.
No, we took that one off. That's why we're meeting October 30th.
Our meeting.
Now, you know,
Oh, that was the original.
It's my birthday, November 20th.
Did you have to?
well, which would be another thing to address then. I know this board in the past.
Her birthday, or?
Yeah.
Well, we can talk about your birthday. I know JV's still waiting on a cake, but as far as if we want to
I
have
think we moved November 6th to October 30th for the
That's correct.
election, but I do believe you have a meeting on November 20th.
20.
Yes, we took the 6th off and moved it back to the 30th.
So I would like to explore offer possibilities of not having a meeting that week or whatever that looks like.
Well, then we'd have no meeting in the month of November.
So we're not having the first meeting in November?
November 6th, you all decided to move it back, so we'll have 3 meetings in October to October 30th.
What about the Monday between the 6th and the 20th?
The 13th?
There you go. Sounds like a good number.
How does this work for everybody else? The
I mean,
proposed
the
date?
Thanksgiving's the 23rd, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Thursday.
Mhm.
So the 18th would
is a
be
Saturday?
the Saturday before.
That'd be a week before.
So the Saturday before Thanksgiving?
Yeah, it's the 18th.
Okay.
So that would be the Saturday prior to the Thanksgiving Day weekend.
So I'm not sure.
Well, I guess I have two questions. Now, the 18th was in question as far as moving that up either sooner or later.
Well, was
The
it-
only thing I have is the 13th, is whether she has everything done that she needs to.
Right, and then that
But
evolves
it's
into
only
a
5
question
days,
as far as
so.
the meeting that we wish to have in November, if we truly want to have that 2 days before Thanksgiving.
So you're not talking about the budget workshop?
It evolved, at first was the budget workshop, the 18th. If the 18th works for everybody, then it is what it is. My concern was it possibly being close to less than 1 week from Thanksgiving. Many people travel for the holiday. Then that evolved into, when do we want to have our November meeting, since we're skipping the first one and having that at the end of October, it sounds like.
And don't forget my birthday.
And your birthday, of course. Do we want to have a regular meeting the week of Thanksgiving would be a big question. Not only for trustees, but I would also say for the community, as far as presence and engagement from the community.
I'm okay with the 18th and the 20th.
And I think too, having that a little bit on a closer window while everything's fresh and we get it completed and so. But that's only this reporter's opinion.
I'm fine with our
Whatever.
schedule currently.
I'm good with it as is.
Sounds good. And I appreciate you clarifying the 20th that we have a meeting scheduled.
And my birthday.
And your birthday. We have a birthday.
Those dates are just in question. I don't know for me, but I'm just one of 7.
Okay, we'll just,
Keep it.
okay, and obviously we can see where we're at as we go through the budget process. And if you want to have another meeting earlier, in addition to that, we can maybe do that. So,
Right.
I'm available at your any convenience. Just wanted to make sure.
Ms. Corley.
You getting all this, Lisa?
They're 2 days off from school. They're 2 days off from school.
Discussion items, standards of conduct?
The only thing I wanted to remind you is that everyone had indicated they would look at those standards of conduct and give me some revisions, and I haven't gotten that from everyone yet. So I don't know if you can put a time limit on yourselves of when you want to get it to me, or when you want to put it back on the agenda, or how you want to handle it. I just didn't want y'all to forget about that.
Thank you for the reminder.
All right. Mr. Lowe, resolution adopting 2018 personnel manual.
Yes, we have finished for about the 7,000th review of that document. Our last manual was adopted by the board in 2012, and it was a fairly gamey piece of work when that board would have approved it, meaning it was extremely, it was and continues to be difficult to work with. It was a kind of a cut and paste job. I'm not blaming the chief, who was the one who grabbed those. I wouldn't ever mention that. But no, it just wasn't. It wasn't. It was good for the short time period of time that I think they had to get something passed. But it obviously it needed a lot of updating, and it needed a lot of different clarification for different departments, and make sure that we had all our overtime policies in place. And I will be able to give you I mean, I'm not going to go line by line with it, but you'll get a memo from me that discusses the major decisions, meaning most of the stuff that hits on either something that's monetary, or if it's a particularly large change in direction from anything we had in the past. But, and I am joking, Chief, it was I'm too hard on him, but it was a great effort for a police chief trying to do an HR manual for a whole city, which I think was unfair to him. And I don't know how you got stuck with that, Chief. You must have missed the meeting. So anyway, I've worked on it. It's also been to CIRSA for review, and it's back to Alicia, and we've made our last changes. So I want permission to bring it to you as soon as I can. I can be ready as quickly as your next meeting. If that's, I'm seeing nods.
Excellent. Yes, sir.
That's good.
Great. Anything else from the board that we would like presentations given to us?
I have one
Yes, sir.
additional one. I think Pro Tem Wilson brought it up at the last meeting. Perhaps something, a workshop or a presentation, desire to learn a little bit more about the planning process and application or the creation of some sort of overlay map to assist with some of the concerns that we've had recently as far as the aesthetics, the true compliance with comprehensive plan and things like that. I think I would enjoy learning a little bit more about the process, as well as the options that we have to really fine-tune what we're currently doing to really better shape our planning process moving forward. And I would imagine that some sort of community involvement would be good to see as well. I don't know if that's a workshop with someone from CIRSA who specializes in the land use and overlays, but definitely would like to get that onto an upcoming agenda.
Yeah.
And again, that could be after budget season as well, understanding the time crunch we have to meet all those.
Yeah, at the last meeting, Trustee Medlicott mentioned that he talked with you about overlay, something about that. It was when we were talking about smart growth, zoning, and all that. I got to tell you, I've got zero insight to that, how it got to where it's at, where it is we can go legally and do things to facilitate smart growth. So I completely, that's a shame, but at the time it was brought up, I thought that's a good thing to talk about, and I'm glad you brought it up. Thank you.
I think what I was referencing there was in terms of some economic development initiatives that we'd like. One of the ones I used in a previous town is an old, but it had a historic old town that was still there, not just a general area. So there was a main street and and it was around a university that all had the same kind of architecture from the same period of time. So we had a clear, defined ability to make a historic overlay district. It was called the Old Town Overlay. We don't have those here. I don't know why. I don't know. If it's against the law in Colorado, Larry'd have to tell me. I don't know. I guess I would ask for clarification, or when you bring CIRSA into it, or
CIRSA?
I think
I
we're
heard
just,
somebody say something about.
I think
one
we're
of
just
them.
asking for basically a planning class.
Like
Yeah.
Planning 101 and.
But also, that's great. That's the intro.
Okay.
But then I would like sort of, what could we do as a board of trustees to add some logic and consistency and, I don't know, reasonableness to the way in which we are proving things and certain things. Whatever we can do within our authority to try to make this smart growth occur. You know, some of the stuff we listen to, I think we should take action on, but I don't know what to do. And that's why, you know, I'll turn to our town attorney and what is it we can do? Because I'm not sure, but
Okay.
I think that's what Don and Hope is saying, because that's what I need. And I think that'd be great and make the board feel like we're better understanding where we might direct ourselves to make things better for the town, for the community, and everything we say we want in that comprehensive plan.
Okay. What I'm hearing is that you want a planning 101, but you would like some more in-depth in terms of some suggested changes to accomplish
Right.
what you're terming smart growth is kind of some of the things we've heard from some folks. And so I guess what I want is Larry and I would sit down and with Alicia and kind of come up with the basics, maybe a skeleton. We'll shoot that out to the board because we don't want to keep going back to it. So I want to make sure that if we do a presentation that it's hitting the very points that you want. So why don't you let us work on that and we'll bring something back. And if it has to be after the budget season, you know, that
That's fine.
I just don't know what level of detail we may get into there. So, but I have a pretty good, I think I understand what I'm hearing.
And my reference, to clarify, my reference to CIRSA was simply because they've provided us access to
Right.
specific land use
Right.
attorneys in the past. And I think this is going to come down to, not that you're not well versed in land use, but I mean, to get creative. Again, we have a community that has a certain desire as far, or vision really, for how they want their community to continue to grow. As Trustee Murphy states, smart growth. I would agree with that term. I think a land use attorney and a little bit of creativity, and again, the involvement of the community is going to be huge. You know, again, we need to clarify what we can do, what we can't do, why we can't do what we can't do, and how we can accomplish some of the things that we do want to do, if that makes sense.
We're working on it.
Thank you.
So you'll send us out a proposed agenda, and then we can comment and
Yeah.
confirm, deny, add, subtract. Okay,
Right.
very good, thank you.
Multiply.
Nope, just add and subtract. Any other requests from the board? All right, Mr. Lowe, does not appear to be a Tri-View report.
That's correct.
All righty, then we will move on to the Board of Trustee comments.
I've just got a couple of very quick ones. I just want to make a comment. It was a true pleasure and enjoyment working with the board, the mayor, and the mayor pro temp this evening. And I think we learned we don't have to agree on everything, but it was very enjoyable tonight. So I thank everybody
Thank you,
here.
sir.
I want to thank Mr. Howe. Again, he just continues to contribute to our community, which is of great value. Thoughts and prayers for everybody in Vegas. Need not say any more than that. And for Mr. Swenson, just a reminder, October 21st at Sly's Barn, there'll be a celebration. So please put that on your calendar. That's all I got.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. A comment, suggestion, comment, I don't know, a big question mark with what I was going to state. But it kind of goes back to what I believe Trustee Murphy had stated about, asking if, did we go back to the Planning Commission and say, we believe possibly you erred in your decision based on this, what we're supposed to be looking at is this and this. So really, is there a legal presence required at the Planning Commission meetings? What can be done to get them back into the loop and back into the process in real time, or at least after the fact, saying, hey, look, this is what happened, where we can have that feedback again in real time, so we have the ability to utilize that for our decisions. Because I think that's valuable. I think an opportunity to hear, hey, we went back to the Planning Commission, we explained, look, we're supposed to be looking only at architecture as well as building size. This plot, this sketch, this was already approved some time ago. We're just looking at these two things, and to say, this is what their feedback was. They get it, or no, they still disagree. I would like to see some sort of process or something put in place to ensure that, one, they're getting the guidance that we get, but also we get the thoughts and the information once it's brought back to them. I very much appreciated having those planning commission minutes and kind of summary recaps in with our packet this week. I thought that was hugely beneficial and offered great insight.
And along the, just an extension of that, Lisa is the one that made the comments at the last meeting about that. And I thought it was great seeing the minutes in with all the ordinances this time, so we could actually see what the votes were, the comments, etc. That was marvelous. And thank you very much, and again for your comments tonight as well.
I was following up with the same thing. I sat in on that planning commission meeting, and I felt it was quite clear that some of the planning commission members did not understand their quasi-judicial responsibilities. I also have seen some frustration from the community as far as what's a town hall, what's a public hearing, what are the differences there. I had submitted some question, kind of, am I getting this right, and haven't heard back. Is there any way we can get to a point where there's some sort of educational, do we need to have a class, ourselves included, because I know there are members here that have questions, a workshop for the Planning Commission, us, Board of Adjustments all together, or something where we can have these things explained to those that are still lacking, or I guess I'm asking, what is going to be the educational way of doing this?
Well, I can tell you that there are a couple of annual conferences that I'd like to see our new members attend. That ought to just be as part of the onboarding process. So it just depends. I can't remember when the CML conference is, but I know we just had one. They usually have two kind of annual conferences that were, and I've sent emails in the past to any board member who would like to attend. I usually go.
The 25th, I believe some of us are going to boards and commissions. Is that the one you're talking about?
They do workshops all over the state throughout the year, but I'm talking about there's an annual one where CML, a board member could be there for 3 years, and you can take classes and all kinds of, you could talk budgeting, you could be in planning sessions, you could do, and then just, there's an ethics, several ethics courses that trustees could attend. So that is the first option that I would say, and I will get you a calendar of all training, that whether it's either from the City and County Managers Association, or whether it's from CML in there. They do a satellite deal where they go all over the state. You might find yourself driving quite a bit, but there's one a year that meets in either Vail or Breckenridge, and well, I mean, it is a good investment of your time if you could spend I think they start on a Thursday night and they're usually done by Saturday or Sunday morning. So they have a mayor's breakfast at that one. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to attend one of those, Mr. Mayor. So I will get you all of the training that's just on the regular series. In terms of getting some particular things, I think that Planning 101 is something that we should probably have as well to the Planning Commission. And so we'll work on training them up.
So would that possibly be again, going maybe rather than a presentation in the board meeting, possibly a workshop that's got joint between the board as well as the commission, that might be more beneficial.
That's
as far as time-wise, as far as efficiency. So.
Yeah. So I'll put something together and shoot something out to you.
Thanks.
Good.
Additional comments? All right, I would also second what Trustee Bornstein said. Thank you, sir, and my thoughts and prayers certainly go out to the victims of the tragedy in Las Vegas. Also, thank you, Trustee Koopman, for your comments. I agree wholeheartedly. There seems to be a disconnect, and it seems to be growing between the planning commission and their understanding of their responsibilities and our understanding of ours. It was reported to me, I'm not going to say by who, but in that planning commission meeting, one of the commissioners was quoted as saying, "Why? Because I don't like it." And I'm not sure if that passes legal muster in a planning commission meeting or in any quasi-judicial responsibility. So I too would express my concern at what appears to be the growing disconnect. And I think if we were to have a meeting where we jointly met, we could discuss what is appropriate, what's inappropriate, and then the board could certainly give some direction and guidance, what we would like to see from our planning commission as we move forward. So with that, are there any other comments? All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes 6-0.